Okay, so hey guys, if you're joining us, if you're watching this later and stuff, I've got Triston on here, and we're gonna dive into all of the stuff he's doing with being the best SEO in the universe. But before we do that, just want to talk a little bit about I was demoing or trying to demo this Be Live, which looked like a cool platform in one of the Facebook groups. And what I'm gonna do is real quick do a share screen and show kind of what happened was, let's see here. I think I got this. Okay. So basically what we were trying to do is just to kind of do what right now you're seeing is just a split screen with Triston and myself, and then anybody who joined us could also watch and participate. But the idea was that this was going to be integrated with Facebook live video. So that's the thing that, even though we're able to do what we're doing right now on Zoom and stuff, it's not really integrated with Facebook. And that was really the point, was because, as a lot of people know, Facebook's really gone full all in with live video, and they really are kind of giving you a bonus if you're trying to get reach with your videos and stuff like that if you use live video. So unfortunately, what we're doing right now using Zoom isn't going to get that effect, but we're still going to be able to kind of talk about what we want to talk about and stuff. And we'll just dive into that and just say that for this time, Be Live, it is in beta. It just looked like a cool platform to kind of experiment and stuff like that, which we did. We kind of played around a little bit with it, but it just wasn't going to meet our needs for today. And in any case, let's dive into the real discussion for today, which is about what can the best SEO in the universe do for you and your video results. So I've got Triston here, and Triston, maybe you could talk a little bit about how you ended up being the best SEO in the universe.
Well, it's a title very gracefully bestowed upon me by Google. If you search for best SEO in the universe, you'll see one of my videos right there front and center. I still have the giant thumbnail. So that's where that came from. And I guess as far as just my history in SEO, I started off just trying to build a previous business. I owned a translation agency, and I was just trying to find more customers, find more clients, grow my business. And as I was developing in that area, I decided, I kind of like doing this. I think I'm just going to do SEO full time. So at the beginning of the year, I decided to take a sabbatical from translation, and here I am. So it's been fun. I like it.
So what was it that kind of really, kind of struck you with, I know that you're busy doing the translation work and stuff. So what was it that kind of really pushed you to kind of go into SEO though? What was it that really was okay, I want to do something different?
I mostly translated legal and financial texts, and so that was a very motivating factor. Just boring work and low pay, and I decided to try something different. But yeah, it was mostly that, and we started to find that we were making more money finding clients than we were making actually doing the work. So, like I said, we decided we wanted to give it a shot, see what would happen. So we took this year off, and we've kind of fallen in love with it. I think we might even just say goodbye to translation for a while and do this full time. So.
And can you talk a little bit about that, about what SEO has done for you? I know of other times you and I have talked, and where you started having clients basically approach you. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, I don't know how much you want to hear about the translation industry and all of its qualms and problems, but basically there's been a big issue in the industry for a few years now where agencies have been taking more of their share for the work. They say, all right, we're going to go out, we're going to handle all the clients, marketing and everything for the translators, but, we want 90% of the cut. And unfortunately, a lot of translators were willing to do that because they weren't able to go out and get their own clients. They weren't able to grow their own businesses. They were totally relying on these agencies. So when I first started, then I was being paid 3 cents a word to work on very, very technical, very, very important documents. One of my favorite examples was a repair manual for a tank. And, that's kind of a thing that you want to make sure you're getting done right. And now they're not exactly simple documents. I literally translated documents on how to build missile guidance systems, and they're paying me 3 cents a word, which works out to I forget how much it was. I think at the time I was making $6 an hour or something like that. And
yikes.
as I started to grow my business and pick up more customers and really started getting into SEO and trying to find my own customers, I found that I could charge a lot more than just 3 cents a word. So my first bump was moving up to 6, so I doubled my income. I was like, well, hey, this is easy. Let's try 12. Doubled my income again. That was really easy. By the end of last year, I was charging an average of 30 cents per word for my work because I was able to establish myself as the expert in my field. And I was able to do that because I had all these really high rankings in Google, and I had lots of other customers who were coming in who were trying, who wanted my services because I'm number one. Then I was able to say, you know what, you're not paying me enough. I don't like you. Your emails, it sounds funny. So I'm just going to work with these other customers, the ones who are going to pay me the most. And got really picky with the work I took on. And like I said, I ended up charging 10 times more than I was at first. That's the kind of difference that it made for my business.
I definitely want to talk more about this idea of like where, once you are the go-to person, that then you can basically be, like you said, choosy about what you take on and stuff. I want to go more into that. But before we do that, I want to kind of go back a little bit to just that idea, like one of the things I talk about different times is that like when you are competing on price, it's a race to the bottom and stuff. And it sounds like that's what was been going on in the translation business. And really you saw that from the perspective of like kind of, being, like hired by these different agencies and stuff. And on top of that, like you said, that then they're wanting to basically take more of the cut at the same time. So, you kind of alluded a little bit to that, but can you talk a little bit about like what that means then, what that translates to as people trying to make a living? I mean, there's a $6 per hour kind of effect and stuff, but can you talk a little bit more about like kind of what other impact it has? Like,
yeah, even just in general, like throughout the entire translation industry, then, even right now for an experienced translator with 20, 30 years worth of experience, then, they're happy to get 12 cents a word is a lot. Most people, or most of us we're used to kind of getting around 7 cents a word. And the reason for that is just simply because all these agencies keep coming and saying, no, you don't know how to get the customers. We know how to do that. And we have to incur all these extra costs, and we have to do all this other stuff. And so we deserve more of that money. And, they keep their rates about the same, or, they'll drive them down a little bit. But the number that they really like to drop is how much they pay the actual translator, how much they're actually paying the person who's doing the work. And so, like I said, we went from the average translator making 20 cents a word down to 7 cents a word. And really that's the biggest effect that it's had, and it's driven out a lot of translators. A lot of the big agencies are even starting to close out. There was one, I don't know if I can name names, but I didn't like them very much. They're the ones who wanted to pay me 3 cents a word, and their entire company crashed, and they lost billions of dollars. And, they're making billions of dollars, and they could only afford to pay us 3 cents a word. So,
that's crazy. Yeah, I mean, I think that the thing there is that overall, when we let ourselves be put in that situation that we're treated like a commodity and stuff, then the agencies or whoever and stuff is charging what they want, and then they're really dictating to you what you're worth and stuff. And you really changed that around by first being kind of more the go-to person. And can you talk a little bit about like what was it that really helped that process of making you the go-to person? What was it that kind of really started that shift?
YouTube. I saw people who were doing better on YouTube, and I wanted to figure out how they were doing it. The old translators, the guys who didn't even have websites and barely had profiles on these forums, like, we're still making 25 cents a word. And then I think the biggest thing that for me, the biggest moment, that click moment for me, was actually when one of the agencies I was working with sent me their pricing rates to translate, so as an internal translation. And I saw that they're charging the client 15 cents a word, and they're only paying me 5. And so really, I mean, it's not the most heroic or noble thing to say, but I was really just inspired by the money. So, but that's the honest truth. I have a family to take care of. I've got bills to pay. And I needed some way to do it. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing ultimately for me. It's like I mean, people like to say different times it's not about the money, but the thing is, though, money is the means to the end, and
Mhm.
that's the end truth. I mean, no matter whatever else you want to say and stuff like that. So it's the way that allows us to have, like the different things we want. It allows us to take care of the people that matter to us and stuff.
Mhm.
It just still, in the end, there's no getting around it. I mean, short of like, we're in the Star Trek generation kind of thing where, like kind of that things are, but even then they do have money in that universe and stuff. It's handled by credits or whatever kind of system and everything. So, okay, YouTube was your kind of like the light bulb moment and stuff like that. And then what was it about, like, like kind of how did you start using YouTube for becoming that go-to person? What was it that like you started to do that was different from, like what other people were doing or what you saw before and stuff?
Well, I guess it really started with just my first video. I started blogging, pretty early on in my career, and there was one blog that I wanted to write, but I couldn't. It was too complicated to explain in words. I needed to be able to show people how to do it. And there was a way to tweak the HTML code for one of these forms that we're messing around with. And so I made a YouTube video on it, and I uploaded that as my very first video. That was in November of 2014, or was it October? It doesn't matter. And then this, excuse me. And then as soon as I did that, I started seeing that, hey, people were liking the video, watching the video. I remember when it hit 100 views, and I was absolutely stunned. And people started subscribing, and then somebody offered me money to do that form, to mess around with this code form. And so I thought, well, hey, this is really neat. So I started making more videos, and then I got a video ranked for the town and city that I was living in. So a Spanish translator was like Arnold, Missouri, or something like that. And it showed up on page 1 of Google, and I started getting phone calls like, I need to do more of these. So and it was pretty simple, not anything too crazy. But yeah, so that's when I started making YouTube videos. That's when I started digging more into how to optimize the YouTube videos, how to grow that business. And so now, I'm not working as much in translation, but with like the people that I mentor, some of my apprentices, they're ranking on the page 1 of Google internationally. So like I have one girl, she's on page 1 in the US, in France, in Canada, in Australia, and Germany, and everywhere else. And it's bringing in some good traffic for her. So she's pretty happy. And, it's a question of just getting that traffic. And once you get the traffic, then your business starts to grow. So
yeah, I think the thing there is that, like, if people talk all the time about content marketing, blogging, all that, and yeah, you can explain different things, but if a picture speaks 1,000 words, right, then video, it's like each frame is a picture, so we're talking like thousands and thousands of words within seconds and stuff. And so that's to me, number one is the amount of content, and really, like, we know it intuitively. Like when we want to do something technical and stuff, one of the best places we look, right, is on YouTube to see how it's done. To have somebody show us, how it's done, like where to click, where to kind of type in something, is much easier than trying to like figure it out by the way they describe it, or like some screenshots and stuff. So I think that's one of the key things that you hit on is really, like recognizing the power of, showing somebody. And then the other part of what you said too, the fact that like your audience isn't just, like just somebody down the street anymore. It's now anybody in the world, because just about anybody, short of China, unfortunately, that's the one thing that, it's still the issue. But anybody else in any other part of the world can look on YouTube, can find your video, and really look for what it is that they want to do. And so can you talk a little bit about that, about like the power of search in YouTube? Like, when somebody's looking there, right, they're looking for answers. They're looking for, a salve or solution for their pain and stuff. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really the key, well, like you're saying, people are going to these search engines, they're going to YouTube, they're going to Google, they're going everywhere else trying to find an answer to a specific question. And, going back to what we're talking about as far as setting yourself apart from your competition or setting yourself out as the expert in the field, what better way is there to say, I am the expert, I am qualified, I know how to do this, hire me to do this instead of, my 60 billion competitors, probably not that many. But the best way to do that is to start by answering people's questions. And so if you can do that, communicate clearly and effectively, here's the issue that you're having. I understand the issue. Here's how to fix it. Here's how to contact me, or here's the next step after that. And so, yeah, that's a huge, I think that's the main reason to make video, or even most content online, is to do that, to answer those questions.
Well, what would you say to somebody like, and this is the thing I run into all the time, especially with like small business and stuff, is that like somebody says, oh, well, that's great for, the guy who's selling widgets to the world and stuff like that, but I'm just, a restaurant down the street, or I'm just a, local bike shop and stuff. Can you talk a little bit about like why somebody like that still should really look at, putting video into their arsenal?
Yeah, I think that there's two reasons for it. First off, because since we're talking about small businesses or like geographically defined businesses, then it's going to be a lot easier to actually get those videos to rank, not only within YouTube, but also within Google. And so you're just getting more of that page one property. You own more of page one if you have that video. And especially since video comes with that thumbnail, that's a huge benefit. And then again, like we were talking about, we're able to answer questions, and we're also able to kind of tell our story. We're kind of able to say why our product is important, why our service is important, and to be able to communicate more directly with the people that we want to communicate with the people that we want to be in contact with. So like we have one client here, and he cleans cars. That's what he does. He loves doing it. He's really good at it. And so we made just a little video of him, talking. I think he only had like 5 seconds worth of him actually talking about what he does. And then the rest of the video was like 2 minutes of just rock music and him cleaning cars. And that video ended up getting shared over 100 times. It has something like 2,500 views on it right now. And whenever he needs new customers, he just takes that video, throws $5 worth of ads at it, and he gets work. And he's been really happy with it. And so like I said, it's just a better way to communicate with the people that we're trying to communicate with. And so I definitely think that it's a valuable thing, even for smaller businesses. So if you have a restaurant, show your food. People love food. If you have a bike shop, show how your bike's handling the local trails, or just what your store looks like, so people can kind of get an idea of what they're going to expect when they come in. Just talk with the owner. Talk with the staff. Let them know that they're talking with people who know what they're talking about, who are passionate about what they're doing. And I think that generates trust, and then again, it establishes you as the expert. So
now that car detailer, that was on Facebook and stuff. Can you talk a little bit about like kind of the Facebook versus YouTube thing? Like because different times, I think for a lot of folks, they're like kind of like, well, where do I put my video? Do I put it on Facebook? Do I put it on YouTube? How does that work and stuff?
Put it on both. YouTube and Facebook aren't playing together very well right now. And so it's best to upload to both platforms natively, and they both have their own strengths and their own weaknesses.
Yeah.
So like, on Facebook, it's a lot easier to get views, and it's a lot easier to get people to interact with the content, because we're just more likely to share stuff on Facebook. We're more likely to like things on Facebook. Whereas I don't think that's as common with YouTube. Now the drawback to that is that the content isn't permanent. It's in that newsfeed, and it'll stay in the newsfeed in that spot unless you pay to have it go out again. Whereas with YouTube, then people are going to YouTube because they're looking for something. In order to find a video, you have to search for that subject. And so you're going to get a lot more consistent views and a lot more consistent traffic with YouTube as compared to the burst that you can get out of Facebook. And the other nice thing about doing it on YouTube as compared to Facebook is because YouTube is owned by Google, and so it's a lot easier to rank those videos in the normal Google search. So like for this guy, whenever somebody searches for, for professional car detailing in my town, his video is going to show up, and that's always going to be there until somebody knocks it down or we take down the video. So, they have their strengths and weaknesses, but I definitely think that doing it on both platforms is best. As far as the type of contents, I think there is a little bit of a difference as far as what you should put in your Facebook videos compared to your YouTube video. I think that with Facebook, you need to be a lot more visually engaging most of the time. And it helps to have subtitles, because most of the time then those videos are going to start and they're going to be muted, especially on mobile devices. And so if you want to really communicate with somebody and get them to watch your video, then those first 2 seconds need to be very, very attractive. They need to be very, very engaging. And if you do have anything on there, as far as spoken things or spoken words, you want to make sure you have subtitles on there so people know what the video is actually about. And then with YouTube, you're a little bit more, I think it's a little bit more forgiving. You're able to have a little bit longer content. People are going to have their sound turned on when they're watching the videos. And so in that case, you have a little bit more time to answer the question. So like with Facebook, then you want to get attention, and with YouTube, then you want to answer questions. So I think that's the main differences between the two platforms.
Definitely. Yeah, the other thing I think with, like one key difference we kind of, talked about some other times and stuff is that with the Facebook videos different times, people will see it in a news feed, and that's why closed captioning is really important, is that, that's all people will see unless they actually click the sound for the video and stuff. Whereas for YouTube, it's the sound goes automatically once you kind of are opening up the video and stuff. And I think that's one thing that like different times people aren't realizing is like a key behavior difference and stuff of, like something showing up in your news feed versus something that like, people are searching for and stuff. I think that's a key to pay attention to. So how about like somebody who like they're a coach or trainer or, writer, speaker, stuff like that. Different times, like maybe they're not like doing something like, washing a car, or they're not cooking food and stuff like that. But what can those folks do for their video then to kind of share their expertise?
I think probably the easiest thing to do is just to put like an image at the beginning of the video, because like I said, those first couple seconds are what's going to get attention, and just put the question that you're trying to answer in that image. So like if you have a coaching business, how to rank #1 in YouTube, just slap that in an image, put that at the very top. That way as you're scrolling down, you're going to see that, say, hey, that's the question that I have, that's a problem that I have, and then they're going to be more likely to to watch the rest of the video. I think that's probably going to be the main thing. And then, like I said, like you were talking about, subtitles and closed captioning and things like that, just that way people can see what's going on in the video. So.
Yeah, I think that's the thing with closed captioning. Another key difference we didn't talk about is that, like in YouTube, the closed captioning is part of the SEO, right? Like that's one of the things that like they will rank, is that it will actually do, I guess, as part of their algorithm, see what you have in the closed captions.
Right. Yeah. Just Google can't actually watch the video, and so we have to give it as much information as we can. So that's why the subtitles and closed captioning help a lot on YouTube. So don't think it actually makes a difference with Facebook, at least not that I've heard.
Right. Yeah, I haven't heard either, but yeah, that's another interesting kind of key difference. Awesome. Thanks so much, Triston, and this has been great. Definitely, we'll see if folks are interested in kind of doing more sessions. I'm going to share a link for, like you can sign up for a mastermind that Triston and I are planning to host and stuff. We're going to basically, like have a, there's a cheat sheet on there, but basically it's like where we'll meet on a periodic basis for folks who are interested in kind of really, getting serious about their SEO and getting results from it. And yeah, definitely sign up for more information about that. And thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.